In my last video, I styled the open space above my kitchen cabinets using a thrifted decor that I've collected and curated over the past year and a half. And today I'm moving on to add a bit more character and functionality to the space with no demo required. With the cabinets all decorated and styled, I wanted to move on to this little area of the kitchen and make it a little bit more functional. Over a year ago when we first moved in, I had added this really thick corkboard to the side of the cabinet where we could just hang notes and doctor's appointments and reminders of things that we had going on throughout the week. And that did work really well for a while, but I want to change it up and to do something different. Getting this cork off though was such a disaster. I wanted to try and keep the pieces intact so that I could use them at a future date, but that really wasn't working out too well. It was stuck on there so well, which isn't a bad thing. We want it to be stuck on there, right? But it took a lot of elbow grease to get those couple of tiles off. It took me several hours just to clean the side of this one cabinet. But anyways, moving on, I'm going to build out a little shelving unit right here for the side of the cabinet. My husband has a lot of medications that he takes every day, and they tend to just gather and pile up on all of the flat surfaces like the kitchen table and the counter. So I want to get them off of that surface up so that he can still see them and access them every day. He won't forget about them, but they are off of my counters. I made this entire shelving unit out of scrap wood that I had in my garage. I had leftover beadboard plywood from my powder room makeover, which was perfect to add a little back detail to this shelf. I have been on a mission to add character and charm to my basic builder grade home, so details like this make a big impact. I even covered the plywood edges with some edge banding. Typically you can iron this on, but either mine didn't have glue on the back of it or it was so old that it just didn't stick anymore. So I just glued mine down, and this is another detail you don't want to skip when going for a professional finish on your plywood projects. Now it looks like a solid piece of wood. I added 2 narrow sides to the backing using the same beadboard plywood. And I test fit it to make sure that everything still fits and that the cabinet doors still open. With the shell built, I cut down shelves out of 1x4s, and then I drilled holes in the back to attach them. Now I need a little ledge or something on the front so that things don't just fall off of the shelves. I'm using a 3/4 inch dowel, and I drilled a hole through this side that's going against the wall to slide the dowel through. I stained everything in the color honey, but I actually don't love this color. It doesn't really go with any of the wood tones in the rest of my home. I prefer stain with a little bit more red tone in it, like early American, which I really love. So I do plan on just painting it whatever color that I end up painting the cabinets in the future. Next up on the mini kitchen refresh, this is probably going to be really controversial, but before I actually hang up the cabinets up here, I'm going to update my backsplash with peel and stick tiles. Now there is really nothing wrong with this backsplash. It is beautiful. It is porcelain tiles. I just don't love the white and gray kitchen. I never really liked that style. It is just too plain and boring for me. I really need warmth, and this is just leaning way too cool toned for me. A lot of this first floor was very cool toned when we moved in, so I've been slowly warming it up, and it is making me feel so much better, but I cannot stand to look at this backsplash any longer. So the tiles that I picked out, like I said, this is probably going to be controversial that I am putting peel and stick tile over top of my current existing, probably pretty expensive tile. But I need to warm it up, and I don't want to do a lot of demo. I don't want to completely redo this kitchen right now. I just want to add some warmth and some depth to it. So I got these dark slate rust tiles, and there's a lot of like orange tones in it, dark tones, help liven it up, give it a moody feel. And I think this is just really going to give more of the overall look that I'm going for. I clean the backsplash with a degreaser first before starting to add the tiles. These tiles are not very forgiving at all and would not be renter friendly. Once you lay them down, they are stuck good and they are not going anywhere. There was a tile that I laid a little bit crooked at first, which would have caused the rest of them to be uneven. I did pull it off, but it was so difficult to do and it had left almost all of that sticky backing behind. So there really is no adjusting like you can do whenever you're laying traditional tile with mortar. Unlike tile, however, these are super easy to cut down to fit around outlets or windows. I used a box cutter. Scissors were a little bit difficult, but you could do it that way if it's all you have. And of course, nothing is ever level or completely symmetrical in any home, even a new build. The two sides of my windows were not even the same height. In the end, you don't even notice it, but it is annoying when you're laying the tiles out. This dark slate backsplash already makes the kitchen look so much cozier in my opinion. I know such a dark color may not be for everyone, but this is exactly the look that I'm going for. Even though these tiles butt right up to each other, I still went over them with a grout. There were a few little pieces that I didn't get lined up perfectly, and you could see a little bit of that white peeking through. So the grout makes it look seamless and like a true tile backsplash. With the backsplash done, it does make the counters look a little bit darker in the evenings, and I had brought these under cabinet lights from the old house when we moved because I love them so much, but it's only taken me 18 months to install them here. These lights are motion activated, temperature changing, and dimmable. You can find them at Lowe's. I actually bought a second pack to add on to the ones I had. These lights are plug-in, which is the most practical in my opinion over battery or rechargeable options. If you have a microwave above your stove, chances are you have a hidden outlet inside of a cabinet. This is where I like to plug the lights in to hide the cord. Then I just drill a hole through the side and the bottom of my cabinets to feed the cord through. The lights do come with multiple wire lengths, so you can configure them however it best suits your space. Next, I have disliked these farmhouse style geometric lights ever since we moved in, so it's time to upgrade these finally as well. I think they are more distracting and take away from the kitchen instead of adding to the overall design and aesthetic. I found this 4-pack of canless downlights at Walmart, and they are super easy to install. They also have color changing capabilities, so you can pick what temperature suits your home. Now I can hang the shelf up, and I'm using these heavy-duty flat brackets to connect it to the bottom of my existing cabinet. Then I used a basic wood screw at the top of the shelf to secure that part as well. You can't see the screw from the front, which is good, and I checked that it didn't go all the way through my cabinets on the inside. Next, we're actually traveling back in time a little bit. I did this little pantry update over the summertime. From the day that we moved in, I couldn't stand these wire shelves in all of the closets. They are so impractical in my opinion. Things just fall over constantly or fall through. I tried using some baskets so smaller items don't just fall over all the time, and even had a little shelf riser as a flat tray for some bottles to sit on as a temporary solution. This center support was honestly not necessary. The shelves are very stable without it and it just gets in the way, so I removed it and don't plan on putting it back in. Now, to cover the shelves, I bought a 4x8 birch plywood sheet, and I had my husband cut down that first cut with the circular saw, since I'm not really good at keeping that straight line over a long distance. But then I was able to make the rest of the cuts having a smaller sheet to work with. I did end up buying a track saw though a few months later. But next I sanded everything down to have a smooth, even surface for that stain to go on top of, and you don't want to skip this step. Then I gave all the boards a coat of pre-stain before going in with a stain combination of Special Walnut and Early American. At first I used this bare water-based stain in Special Walnut, but this stain dries very quickly being that water-based, and it just was leaving behind streaks on the surface of my wood shelves, so I went over it with Early American in a traditional oil stain. Then I sealed everything with spar urethane, which is extremely durable for high traffic areas. I did the same process for these face frame pieces, however I used oak for this part to make the shelves look more high quality. But it was also cheaper than getting the same thing in pine, which was weird, so of course I chose the oak. This isn't the best angle, but I glued the face frame to the edge of the plywood and I added a few finishing nails to hold it in place. There's not going to be any weight put on this piece. But that's it. This is a really easy project to elevate any builder grade wire shelves that you have in your home without any demo. Unfortunately, you're not going to get a beautifully styled and aesthetic pantry from me. This is my real life and how we use it and function every day, but it looks so much better than the cheap, difficult wire shelves that we started with. And the last space that I want to update for this video is my pots and pans cabinet. There is a small half shelf in there that I have to completely kneel down to access, and I am the shortest person in this household. This is just not functional at all. So instead, I'm building some drawers. I bought these soft close drawer slides that are fully extendable so that my drawers, after we build them, they will be able to pull completely out. I will be able to reach the backs of my drawers. It drives me crazy when drawer slides only open about halfway and then things just get shoved to the back, go missing forever until you completely clean out the drawer. And in all of the rest of our drawers in this kitchen, they are full extension. So you can see just how far that comes out. Like you can see the back of the drawer right there. It comes out completely. I can access everything, the entire drawer. So that's what I want for the pots and pans as well. So these were a little bit pricier, but in my opinion, completely worth it to be able to access the entire drawer. Because there's like a little lip right here, I can't build the drawer to fit fully in there, and I can't place the slides right up against that. We're gonna have to put like a spacer block right here to then attach the slides to that, and then the drawer. So I need to figure out, these fit perfect, but I need to figure out like how much of a gap that I'm going to need to then be able to figure out what size drawer box I can build. With the spacers in, I headed out to the garage to cut the plywood for my boxes. And this time I'm using 3/4 inch maple furniture grade plywood that I picked up from Lowe's. And I had actually bought this track saw, like I mentioned, for my husband for our anniversary. However, so far I've gotten more use out of it than he has. It's definitely a game changer for woodworking and wanting to build my own custom furniture and cabinetry. With the wood cut down, I added the drawer slides to the cabinet and then to the sides of the box while it was still disassembled. And then Mason helped me put the boxes together. This is just the first step in giving my kitchen the moody look that I'm craving. There is still more work to do, but I'm still working on pulling it all together. So make sure you're subscribed to see the finished result whenever I get there. And I'll see you in the next one.